Good evening, Hatters. Hi, everybody out there in Florida and beyond. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am so glad you're all here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rena Tovar Arroyo, and I am the Assistant Vice President for Development for Parent and Alumni Engagement. And tonight we have nearly 200 Hatters joining us on this webinar. Welcome. I'm so excited. And I was also really excited when I reviewed our guest list tonight and saw that we have so many dear Stetson friends with us this evening. So I'm really looking forward to this. See, it looks like we're bringing our guests in. As we wait for all guests to connect, which takes a little bit of time, we're going to do a fun poll so that we can learn a little bit more about all of you who are with us tonight. So we are going to drop a poll in the screen here. Okay, so this is the fun poll we're going to do. So for Hatter alumni, which college or school did you graduate from? And if you're a Hatter parent, which college or school will or did your student graduate from? So if you can check the College of Law, the College of Arts and Sciences, the School of Business, or the School of Music. And Julie and Megan, who are working behind the scenes tonight, thank you ladies, are going to be tabulating our results so we can see some percentages of who's with us tonight. Okay, so here we go. Looks like we have 13% from the College of Law, 46%, almost half, College of Arts and Sciences, 35% School of Business, and 7% School of Music. Thank you all for participating. That's fun. We appreciate it. So for this evening, one thing we want to do right away is to give you the opportunity to give a shout out, if you're alumni, to your graduating class in the questions box, which you can find in your control panel. So take a minute, give a shout out to your graduating class, and Hatter parents, if you can join in too, please share your student's graduating class year. So remember, this is the question box that you will leverage throughout this evening with questions or comments. So this is a great time for you to practice and give us your class year and say hello to everyone. Okay, it looks like we've got folks from 2014, graduates from 86, 87, 20, excellent. We've got some parents, great alumni, 88, 2018, 1999 graduates, 85, 82, 78, class of 71, 83. This is so great. We're super excited to have you all here. We even have one from 1967. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you on tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started on our discussion tonight. And I'm going to take a minute to introduce this evening's panelists for you. First of all, we have Dean Michelle Alexandre from Stetson University's College of Law. We also have Raynell Tinsley Mason from the class of 2000 and our current alumni board president. We have Tara Hamilton, our Executive Director of University Development Initiatives. And of course, please join me in giving a warm Hatter welcome to Dr. Christopher Rolke, who became Stetson's 10th president on July 1st, 2020, this summer. So come on, Chris, come on aboard. Hi, welcome.
Welcome, Hatters. Thank you, Floridians, for chiming in today and tuning in to meet and greet with President number 10 for Stetson University. Thank you, Rena, for your lovely introduction. And I also want to thank the other panelists that are here tonight. We all agreed as we were preparing for this alumni event that the most important part of this is, in fact, the question and answer period. So I thank those participants that send us questions in advance, but you should feel free at any time to put questions into the chat box, and we'll try to get to as many as we possibly can. I'm not counting, but I think this is my 89th day as Stetson's president, and it certainly has been quite a ride and quite a journey, and frankly, a journey of reaffirmation that I made a great choice to become your president. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I know I repeat myself, but I want to say that it is the greatest honor and privilege of my professional life to be serving as your president. As you know, I became president right when Florida was the epicenter of this global pandemic, or at least for the epicenter in the United States. I couldn't be more proud of the way the Stetson community has responded to this very, very challenging context. We have been working on a few themes throughout this academic year, including kindness, empathy, and agency. And let me define that agency piece a bit. It was very clear to us that we needed to give our students and our faculty and the folks that work here at Stetson as much agency as possible in trying to navigate this global pandemic and COVID-19. That means that students would have some choice as to how they would engage with us, whether it be online, in person, or in some kind of hybrid format. Similarly, faculty members could make choices as to about how they were going to deliver their curriculum. And to the extent possible, those that work here, if they could work remotely, we would want to try to make that happen, to make every effort we possibly could to mitigate the transmission of this virus. For those of you that have stayed tuned in and watching the news here at Stetson, we've performed quite well with regard to the transmission of the virus thus far. On the DeLand campus, we are now in what we call Tier 2. So we're moving in very cautiously and very slowly into more face-to-face interactions. We're still in Tier 1 at the law school, but things are also moving along quite nicely there. And our dean, Michelle Alexandre, will be with us in a few moments to share with you what's going on at the law school. In addition to the global pandemic, certainly it's been a climate of considerable racial unrest, not only in our country, but right here in Volusia County and right here at Stetson. I think we've tried to navigate that context again with kindness, with empathy, and also with agency. You maybe know that we also sent out a campus communication on Friday because we have had some challenges related to social media and some imagery that was painful to our community. We're sorting through that. We haven't sorted through all of it, but we are sorting through it, again, with kindness, empathy, and agency. I don't want to go much further because I know we have a number of presentations that need to be had here tonight before we get to the Q&A. But again, mostly a sincere thank you to our alumni. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be leading Stetson University, even if it is a once-in-a-century set of challenges that we confront. We need you, we need your engagement, and we need your insights and advice. So thank you for tuning in. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to Dean Michelle Alexandre from the law school, who not only does a masterful job managing the law school, but has been the fullest of partners in helping us navigate this once-in-a-century set of challenges at Stetson, both with regard to COVID-19 and with regard to diversity and inclusion. And I can't thank her enough for being such a superb colleague. Michelle.
Thank you, President Roque, and thank you for your hard work being a steward in these difficult times. I also think because the number 10, I love multiples of 5. So I think number 10 is a lucky, lucky, lucky number. So we will be just fine. I also this evening wanted to channel Rena because I think her energy right now is unparalleled. So Rena, my goal is to be as energetic as you. So at the College of Law, as President Roque mentioned, we actually are managing cautiously well. We are happy with all of the compliance and wonderful collaboration taking place. We have a mixture of face-to-face, hybrid, and remote classes, with 75% of our first-year students being face-to-face, and a mix of upper-level classes, about 40 to 50%. We feel very privileged to be able to offer this educational quality, and our students are reporting really getting benefit from the hard work of our faculty, staff. As you know, particularly for the College of Law grads, it's a special place at the College of Law, and I feel honored to be part of it at this moment. Additionally, we were fortunate to be able to welcome a number of new faculty. Professor Roy Beleste is the director of our law library and professor of and part of the faculty. Professor Alicia Jackson is our new head of Bar Prep, also on the tenure track. And we have a new head of advocacy, Professor Liz Bowles. It is, and many more. We've had many new family members, many new innovation, like our business law concentration. It is really a joy to be able to offer that as one more outlet in our arsenal of practice readiness. You may have received the letter that myself, Ria Law, and Lila Jaber, and as you may know, Attorney Lila Jaber is a member of our Board of Trustees. Attorney Ria Law is a member of the Board of Trustees and former past chair of the Board of Overseers, and they joined me in a letter really reminding everyone of how equipped and ready the class of 2020 is to take on any challenge, and to encourage the legal profession to give them a chance to supervise practice and through employment. I know that you encounter many of them. They are fantastic, and they are now getting ready to take the bar. As you know, that has been delayed in mid-October. As you may have many questions, and we are available in our office, the Dean's office, or the Office of Development at the College of Law. We are also kicking off our Student Emergency Fund to support our 2020 graduate and the other 4 classes that we have in the building, our 3 full-time students and our part-time students and part-time program, which are affectionately called the 4 Ls. I am excited to hear from you and any questions you may have. And if you are part of the law school or alums of the law school, feel free to give a shout out. You know how we like to shout out the law school. I will turn it over to Rena.
Thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your comments about the energy. It's because I love this place. And I'm so excited for everybody to meet Dr. Roelke and our leadership like Michelle. She's incredible. So I'm going to quickly give a brief update from the Alumni and Parent Engagement Office. So as you can imagine, we were all really excited to travel the country this year to see you in person, but alas, COVID has happened. So here we are virtually. With safe social distancing parameters in place, the Alumni and Parent Engagement Office has launched a series of digital events and programs to help our Hatter alumni and parents stay engaged and connected. These virtual initiatives give you easy access to learn, connect, and engage with one another, and also provide opportunities for you to help support our current students and young alumni. The team is always here to support you. The Meadows Alumni House door is always open. At this time, it's a virtual door, but regardless, it's always open to all of you, our Hatter family. And remember, you are amongst Stetson's Hatter Network, which is 42,000 alumni strong. So quickly, I'm going to share with you a few of our upcoming programs that we have happening virtually. First of all, I know everybody's excited for homecoming. This year, it is going to be virtual. It will be November 6th through the 8th. And activities that we have planned this year will include a dean's panel, academic, multicultural, athletic, and social virtual workshops. And of course, there will be time to reminisce with old friends, which is why we do homecoming, right? If your class ends in a 0 or a 5, we will also be celebrating you with a virtual class reunion. And don't forget to join us for a nostalgic kickoff concert on Thursday, November 5th to launch the weekend of events. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're working hard on that one. More information along with the schedules and registration will be sent to you very, very soon. We're also doing a number of regional events, as you have seen, if you're keeping in touch with our office. These are ongoing events. So in addition to the general virtual events, such as our Facebook Live concerts, which have been really fun, the Office of Parent and Alumni Engagement will continue hosting virtual events across the country in partnership with our Alumni Board. These events give alumni and parents the opportunity to participate in speed networking, trivia nights, fundraising, academic-based events, and much, much more. We promote those every Sunday on our social media accounts, so make sure you give us a follow. Julie is going to put those into the comment box so you can see the links and you can get connected. We also have our Webinar Wednesdays. which is ongoing as well, every single Wednesday. If you're looking for an opportunity to give back to our current students, Webinar Wednesdays is for you. This is a program geared towards students and young alumni as they begin to navigate from life after Stetson and into the workplace. If you're interested in hosting a workshop for students on an industry, career, lifestyle, or academic topic, please reach out to our office. We're looking forward to talking to you. Some webinar topics that alumni have presented on include professional development, freelancing, and life as a digital nomad, creating self-security, entrepreneurship, and many more. Also, we have Leadership Stetson. Leadership Stetson is one of my favorite weekends of the year. This program is designed to increase the number of Stetson alumni and parents actively engaged with the university and to develop the next generation of Stetson leadership. Participants have the chance to learn more about Stetson, including the internal and external forces that affect the university's direction. There's also a dean's panel, many discussions with university administrators, our faculty, and our students, and a chance to participate in discussions, quite frankly, about the future of Stetson University. You do all of this during this time while also networking with fellow alumni and parents. It's a lot of fun. There is a nomination process and application, so if you have an interest in applying, please reach out to our office. Going to quickly highlight the Alumni Board. Our Alumni Board is comprised of members representing various class years, majors, backgrounds, professions, and geographic areas. And new members rotate onto the board each year. Their mission is to promote and develop enduring relationships between alumni and the university, while at the same time fostering loyalty and philanthropic support. Shortly, you will have a chance to hear from our current Alumni Board President, Raynell Tinsley Mason. Okay, we always like to get feedback from our parents and our alumni, what they're interested in. So if you could take a minute, we're gonna have Julie pop up another poll here, and please share with us by clicking which of the programs you're most interested in. You can click on more than one if you like. So please take a few minutes, a few seconds to click Virtual Homecoming, Regional and Virtual Events, Webinar Wednesday, if that's an interest to you, Leadership Stetson, and our Alumni Board. Thank you so much for taking this poll and for providing us some feedback. I also want to let you know we have launched a redesigned website. So feel free to jump on the website, navigate around to learn a little bit more and stay connected. We're going to drop the URL into the chat box so you can check it out and make sure you have that link for the future. All right, so at this time, I'm excited to turn it over to our current Alumni Board President and my friend, Raynell Tinsley Mason, the class of 2000.
Thank you, Rena. Thanks so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. As Rena stated, I'm Raynell Tinsley Mason, President of the Stetson Alumni Board. I'm graduated in the class of 2000 with a degree in marketing and management. While at Stetson, I was involved in the dance team Synchronicity. I was a Student Alumni Association member, and I worked in the president's office as a student assistant. I'm currently a certified paralegal and working for Masonite International Corporation as their senior corporate compliance paralegal in Tampa. Serving as the president of the Stetson University Alumni Board has been a true honor, and I'm continuously humbled at the dedication of the many volunteers who spend an incredible amount of time lending their talents and treasures towards helping to make Stetson a better place each and every day. Becoming president of the Alumni Board is truly one of the highlights of my life, and I'm honored to be able to serve in such capacity for my alma mater. You ask, what does the Alumni Board do? Well, this year, the board and the Alumni Office have been diligently working together to revamp the board bylaws, to guide us in a direction to help the university further its mission. Through this, we have refocused the work of the Alumni Board to drive tangible outcomes of the Alumni Office and development to align with university priorities. In addition to creating clear direction through the new bylaws, we've provided more structure through member selection and identifying the responsibilities of our members. The board committees have also been redefined to drive focus, such as fundraising, engagement, and serving a diverse body of alumni. With that, we've also added a multicultural committee and are excited to begin our journey to grow this committee. We as board members, in partnership with the alumni office staff, work to promote and develop enduring relationships between alumni and the university while fostering loyalty and philanthropic support. Our members host regional events across the country and develop a sense of community and foster a pride for our alma mater. That further enhances the university's reputation. We hope that with each event, each of you will become engaged alumni to nurture a spirit of service, loyalty, and engagement to Stetson and provide philanthropic support as advocates for the university. We also work to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments and achievements of our alumni. So maybe you're sitting there asking, how can I be more engaged? Maybe I need a little more involvement in the university. Maybe you're looking for the opportunity. Now's your chance. Feel free to reach out to myself or the alumni office to get engaged. We'd love to have you. Thank you for your time this evening, and go Hatters. I'm now going to turn the microphone over to Tara Hamilton, the Executive Director of University Development and Initiatives. Thank you.
Thanks, Ronelle. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to be here tonight with you as you get to hear firsthand from Dr. Roelke. And I'm also excited to briefly share with you some good news as it relates to our recent fundraising success. And I know we all need good news at this time. So roughly this time last year, we were celebrating the completion of our 7-year Beyond Success to Significance campaign. This raised over $218 million, which vastly exceeded our $200 million goal. Now that was really something to celebrate. I'm going to mention a few highlights that our generous donors helped us to accomplish. During the campaign, we received the single largest gift in Stetson history, $18 million for our new CC and Hyatt Brown Hall for Health and Innovation. These are a couple of the renderings you see of the new building, and it will sit adjacent to Sage Hall. We endowed the Edmonds Scholarship Program, which is our prestigious full-ride academic scholarship. More students were able to benefit from international study programs on both campuses, and we dedicated the David and Leanne Rinker Center for International Learning. Student research, writing, and academic success were enhanced through the Hollis Family Student Success Center, which is located on the 2nd floor of our amazing library. We renovated the Tinsley Room of Presser Hall in our School of Music, and we endowed the Templeton Business Ethics Competition and created the Centurion Sales Excellence Program, both within the School of Business Administration. The Veterans Law Institute was created, as were more externship experiences for our law students. And donors endowed our joint College of Law and undergraduate civil rights travel course, where students actually get to meet and walk in the footsteps of the Freedom Riders. The Marshall and Vera Lee Rinker Welcome Center proudly welcomes our prospective students and their families to campus. And the Carlton Union building was beautifully renovated and expanded by 40%. I personally think the Cub is a wonderful example of blending our historical architecture with the modern design to meet the needs of our today's students. We also enhanced our Jewish community, campus community, with the dedication of the newly remodeled Jeffrey and Diane Ginsburg Hillel House. The new Sandra Stetson Aquatic Center was made possible by John B. Stetson's granddaughter. It's also home to our Institute for Water and Environmental Resilience, as well as our men's and women's rowing teams. In this campaign, $18.8 million was raised to support Stetson athletics, including the new athletic training center and the addition of beach volleyball, lacrosse, and of course, the return of Hatter football. Finally, over the past several months, we've asked the Hatter Nation to support our students most affected by the pandemic. And oh my goodness, the overwhelming care and concern you all have demonstrated is humbling. Between the Law and DeLand campuses, donors large and small, as well as private foundations, have given over $644,000 in just a few short months. Please know you have our deepest gratitude. And these are all tremendous examples that I've mentioned of generosity that support Stetson's mission and help our incredible students reach their full potential. And we wouldn't be the university we are today without the support of all of you. So thank you. As we look beyond 2020, we know affordability and access will still be top of mind for many students and families. And we hope you'll continue supporting student scholarships as well as the Stetson Fund. And if you are able, please consider another gift to the COVID Student Emergency Funds. We also hope some of you will consider establishing your own endowed fund. These types of funds truly leave your legacy at Stetson while also helping the university remain successful and significant for the next 137 years. Again, thank you so much for your continued support. It is so deeply appreciated. And we look forward to seeing you in person very soon. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Roelke.
Thank you very much, and my thanks to all of my colleagues for your wonderful presentations. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. I just have a few brief remarks, and they'll be guided by a few slides that will be put up on the screen. The first I'd like to talk about is the Stetson University community. It has been joyful for me, despite the global pandemic, to transition here into DeLand. I'm all settled in at 418 North Woodland Boulevard, the president's home on the Stetson University campus, about a 200-yard walk to my office in DeLand Hall. And again, I'm honored and privileged to be serving in this capacity. When I arrived in DeLand on June 15th, there was a wonderful banner welcoming me in downtown DeLand, which was incredibly touching to me. And it also, all my experiences thus far have reaffirmed my assessments of Stetson. And I've been fond of calling our community scrappy, tenacious, resilient, and caring. And when I mean scrappy, I don't mean that in a pejorative way. I mean, just really when the going gets tough, Hatters get going. And that certainly has been true throughout this global pandemic, and certainly the pandemic that we navigate here in Florida. And I want to tell you that the planning for this semester has been quite interesting in planning for COVID-19. I had the rather fortunate opportunity to be invited in by President Emerita Wendy Libby as early as February, as the pandemic hit the United States, to plan, to think collaboratively with our colleagues to how do we make this education happen? How do we make the very best of a Stetson education happen in a public health emergency? So I felt very fortunate that I was involved at very high level meetings and talking with students and talking also with faculty about how do we navigate this terrain. And that has required us to be creative, thoughtful, think outside the box to try to, again, provide an intellectually intimate experience when in fact many of us cannot be face to face. So the fall semester has looked different than any other semester in Stetson's history. We have right now about 56% of our courses are being taught virtually, with the other 45% being taught in a face-to-face kind of fashion. We also have the ability to move in and out of those modalities as needed as the public health data become available to us. So the fall semester has certainly been unlike any other one that we've ever seen in Stetson's history since 1883. I am delighted that the creativity has brought some wonderful interactions, not the least of which is we pitched a tent outside here at 418 North Woodland on the President's lawn. And we have many classes are being taught underneath the tent. Why? Well, it's safer to teach outside than it is to teach indoors. And so I'm delighted that that's being used for both social functions as well as academic enterprises at Stetson in a physically distant manner. And there are a number of other tents on campus too, also to encourage students to get outside, to interact with one another as best as they can, of course, always with a facial covering. So the fall semester has gone, I think, better than we had anticipated, but we're not certainly out of the woods yet. Florida is about to open up quite robustly outside of Stetson. Bars are opening, restaurants are opening, et cetera. So we still have to really keep our feet to the fire on keeping ourselves and our community members safe. Robust testing, robust interventions when we have something that goes outside of our expectations. But I must say, to a person, there's been incredible compliance with this new environment that we're working in, incredible care given for each other. And that for me, as your new president, has been certainly energizing. We have just completed the second iteration of our campus climate survey, which is to get a better understanding of how members of our community are experiencing life on campus with one another, what barriers there might be to educational opportunity as perceived by members of our community. And we have just released those second iteration results at the College of Law and on the DeLand campus. That has certainly stimulated a number of robust conversations, including a set of recommendations that are coming out of our equity and inclusion group on how to move our community forward. And most certainly, we are not doing this work in isolation. We're doing it in an environment of considerable national unrest around issues of race and diversity and inclusion. And I've been telling our community, and I really do believe this, that not only in the context of COVID-19, but in a context of racial unrest, there is no better place to be than in an institution of higher education, and no better place to be than at Stetson University. Why? Because we tackle these things head on. We have the candid, open conversations. We try to work together collaboratively to move our community forward. We don't shy away from challenges. We meet them with all deliberate speed. So this is ongoing work. I encourage you to stay engaged. Rennell Tinsley Mason, pointed to the notion of having the Alumni Advisory Board have a robust group of people that are engaged in these issues. We need your help, and we thank you for your help. Budget. It would not be a true alumni event if we weren't candid with you about the need to raise money as well as our budget. So let me tell you what the story is on the budget. On the DeLand campus and the University and the College of Law was also quite helpful in this. We did have to cut our budget by over $16 million in order to meet the demands of COVID-19 and to also deal with the reduced revenue that we anticipated because of COVID-19. We had to go to single occupancy for health and safety reasons on the DeLand campus. And as you all well know, we are a tuition and room and board driven institution. We also made some very difficult sacrifices. Everyone on the campus made incredible sacrifices, including pay reductions, including a voluntary pay reduction from the executives of the university. I'm delighted to report that because we have performed better than we anticipated, we have postponed those salary reductions through this semester. That was very much a big morale booster for people that work at Stetson because they have been working so hard during this time to keep our community safe. We still have had to make reductions in retirement contributions for everyone that works at Stetson. So we're hopeful we're going to be in a better budget position moving forward in the second semester to be able to replenish those. Because again, Stetson is all about the people and they work incredibly, incredibly hard. I'm going to be overly simplistic on the 2021 priorities, but I think they're the right ones. The 2021 priority for us is to keep our community healthy and safe. While that's overly simplistic, this is in fact happened once in a century. This happens, a global pandemic. The last time was 1918. So keeping our community healthy and safe and moving a Stetson education forward as best as we possibly can is absolutely our laser focus for 2021. There also, of course, is work we need to do in the area of inclusion and diversity. So we are remaining diligent in our conversations and our policy discussions and thinking through how we can make our community be very, very attentive to the contemporary demands of society, specifically trying to create racial understanding and mutual respect across difference. There are certainly going to be future opportunities that present themselves to Stetson University. I also believe so strongly that these opportunities should be determined collaboratively and not by a single appointed leader, but I will name a few. We are in fact a high tuition, high discount institution, and notions of accessibility and affordability are going to be at the forefront of our consciousness moving forward to make this very form of education possible for future generations of Stetson University students. You also saw slides with regard to the C.C. and Hyatt Brown Hall of Science and Innovation. It is the single most ambitious capital project that we've undertaken at Stetson, it's critical that we make good use of that wonderful transformational gift to make sure that our curriculum, in fact, is aligned with the beauty and functionality of that space. So that's a very important opportunity that is presenting itself to Stetson right now and in the future. Another one is that we're very eager to try to acquire some strategic properties in and around the campus so that we can move a much larger student body than we've had historically in a really positive direction. So stay tuned on those. I've talked too long. The most important of this particular event is your questions and my attempt to try to answer them as candidly and openly as possible. Again, thank you for being here.
Excellent. Thanks, Dr. Rolke. So it is time for our Q&A time with Dr. Rolke. So remember, you can still submit questions in the question box, in the comment box. We received some questions in advance, so we'll start with those. And we will do our absolute best to answer all of your questions before our time ends at 7 p.m. So let's get started. I know that our first question is very personal, and I know people want to get to know you as a man and your family. So the first question that was submitted is, welcome. Can you please tell us a little bit about your family and how they're adjusting to the transition?
Great. Thank you. I'm the proud father of 3 daughters. Emma Rolke is a second-year medical student at NYU School of Medicine, Long Island School of Medicine. Julia is 23, is a science educator and sustainability coordinator and basketball coach in Westport, Connecticut at Greens Farms Academy, second-year teacher. And my daughter Olivia is in high school. And my wife Kim is a small animal veterinarian in Millbrook, New York. She just sold her practice and is not yet with me, nor is my youngest daughter. She's going to finish up high school, and then my wife, who has sold her practice, is transitioning out. So it's really only been Chris that has transitioned to Stetson. I will confess I'm a little lonely in this very large presidential home, but my colleagues have made it a lot easier. I felt very welcomed. And as an aside, my wife is in fact enjoying in New York having all of the bathroom drawers to herself during this transition. They are going to be here for a month and a half after Thanksgiving, while again my youngest daughter completes high school, and my wife Kim is eager to become a central part of the Stetson University community moving forward. And who knows, Olivia may become a Hatter.
That'd be great. Thank you. Very good. So the next question we have is, what are you most looking forward to at Stetson University being our president?
I have to say, I'd like to answer this in a short-term way first, which is I'm really eager to get us back to some degree of what we're used to. I have had spots. I do crash admissions tours. I have had an opportunity to interact with students in New York and Washington before I became the president. But most of my work at Vassar was very student-facing, and I really do miss the face-to-face interaction with Stetson University students. And so I'm very eager to have that happen sooner as opposed to later. But again, we have to do that safely and judiciously. I'm also really eager to get to know the community of DeLand. I've already become a lifetime member of the West Fallujah Historical Society. I visited them, and I'm a former high school history and social studies teacher, and that's a passion of mine. I'm very eager to understand what's going on down in the city of DeLand with regard to the Wright Building, which was where Black businesses took place prior to DeLand being more integrated. I'd like to be a participant in that project. So I'm really eager to get to know the community. I had been on an accelerated listening and learning tour, but I must confess that I'm still learning. This has been a set of challenges that I don't think anybody could have anticipated. So thinking about the future has been a little bit more difficult than one might expect as we're trying to, again, stay healthy and safe during a once-in-a-century set of challenges.
Very good. Thank you. So we had a comment about our beloved Professor Greg Sapp, who passed away recently. And I thought it would be a nice opportunity for you to talk about how you dedicated the program to him the other night when you were talking about kindness in our community. So would you share a few words about that?
I will, Rena, thank you. And I know many alums on the call and parents and friends of Stetson. Many of you may have known Greg Sapp and been the recipient of his pedagogical gifts as a faculty member. I only had the opportunity to interact with Greg Sapp just one time, and it was in the context of about an hour and a half faculty senate meeting, of which he is a faculty senator. And I must say that even virtually, I could feel the warmth through the screen. I could feel the peace building through the screen. I could feel the love of Stetson through the screen in the very brief interaction that I unfortunately only had with him for a brief moment with Greg Sapp. I was given the opportunity from the Office of Religious and Spiritual Life to be a participant in what they call a Big Words series. And I was frankly quite touched that Sensei Mara Sullivan asked me several weeks ago if I would be willing to talk about why I chose the word kindness to be a major theme for Stetson moving forward for the 2021 academic year. And it was a very generous request, and so I chose to say yes, of course, to come. In between the request and when I came to the talk, we did have the unfortunate and unexpected, totally unexpected loss of Greg Sapp. So I chose to think about my remarks, and as I was making my remarks, which I titled The Pedagogy of Kindness, it made it crystal clear in my head that this is really the way Greg Sapp carried himself as a Stetson faculty member. What do I mean by pedagogy of kindness? What I mean is that, you know, when you get to know a student really, really well, their strengths, their weaknesses, when you get to know their families, that's a pedagogy of kindness. When you hold a student to high standards, yet still allow them to be themselves within a classroom context, that's a pedagogy of kindness. When you're applying ideals such as fairness and equity, you know, to real world problems, problems that are important to your students, problems that are important to your community, that's a pedagogy of kindness. When you're taking students outside the classroom on field trips to really see for themselves and experience for themselves what the Freedom Riders went through, that's a pedagogy of kindness. When you're engaged in learning that's not just about rote memorization, but really bringing your full self to the interactions that you have not only with your students, but the students with themselves and with each other, that's a pedagogy of kindness. So Rena, I thank you for the question, but that's really what I think is at the heart and the strength of a Stetson education. And I think Greg Sapp exemplified that with flying colors. And I so regret that I did not get the opportunity to work with him more closely. And I know the community is still in mourning for losing such a valued member of our community. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, a member of the Alumni Advisory Board, because also a Hatter alum.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I just love the way you talk about those things in our community. So the next questions are about COVID. The first one that we're getting in here is, do you see spring term to be more relaxed with the residence halls?
Right. It's a great question. And first, I'd like to start with this, that we went to single occupancy. We did so really in an emergency fashion because we didn't feel as though we could be healthy and safe if we were in doubles and triples and so on. It was so fascinating to me that we have about 1,600 spaces where we could do single occupancy, right? We had a waiting list, even though Florida was at the epicenter of the pandemic at that time, a waiting list to come back on campus. To me, as a new member of the community, that spoke volumes to the importance of the residential components of a Stetson education. So I wanted to say that first, that was a really wonderful outcome, I think, is that we had a waiting list and couldn't actually accommodate all the students that wanted to be here. The short answer is yes, we're hopeful that the public health context will cooperate enough that we can open up the campus a bit more. But again, we're going to do that cautiously and slowly, and it will all be determined by the public health data that are available to us at that time. So I'm so grateful to the patience and understanding that our families have afforded us as we try to navigate this unprecedented terrain. It has worked remarkably well, far beyond our expectations thus far. But what's the saying? I'm not counting our chickens until they're hatched. We've got to get through Thanksgiving first. And then, of course, our public health officials are telling us that we also have to worry about the complications of the flu season and a possible another wave. So it's a wait and see, but we are certainly eager to try to get back to as close to normal as possible, as quickly as possible. But we're only going to do it if we can do so safely. With regard to the flu, in addition to all the testing we have for COVID-19 and all the wonderful public relations announcements we have about washing our hands 20 seconds multiple times a day, wearing our facial coverings, watching our distance, and watching our group size, we are also encouraging all of our members of our community to engage in our free flu shot vaccinations if they so desire, because that will help us uncomplicate a very complicated context.
Great.
A long-winded answer to the question. We're eager to get back to face if we can.
Oh my goodness, yes. So there were a couple of other questions submitted before the webinar similar to that question, and one of them was that the opening for school, the plan was really excellent, and they're wondering if we had any surprises once we started, and if so, how did we adjust? And also if you could talk a little bit about how the dining has worked on campus and how students have been building community.
Sure. It's a generous question and a generous comment. Thank you. I really mean it when I said I'm exceptionally proud of the way this community has stepped up to this challenge. And that has required, frankly, a great deal of sacrifice among our students, among our faculty, among our staff, and members, frankly, of the broader DeLand community too. They have been really helpful. DeLand, for example, was the first city in our county that mandated masks. And I think that was very helpful to us, frankly. So the other part of the question was surprises. We were not surprised by an early spike. We did have an early spike in terms of COVID-19 transmission. So I wouldn't call that a surprise. I think what I am a little bit pleasantly surprised about was how effectively we managed that spike. It was not perfect. Don't get me wrong. It was not perfect. We had students in motels. We had to rush and figure out how to get them food. We're not always successful in doing that in a timely fashion. But I really was so pleasantly surprised with how quickly the community understood when we had that first spike, how important it was that we keep each other safe and that the restrictions we had in place, actually there was a strong rationale behind them. So in some ways it was sort of fortunate that we had this early spike because it was a huge wake-up call to the community that we've got to really take this seriously, and we did. So that was a pleasant surprise. As far as I know, the students are being fed. I can't speak to their customer satisfaction, but I know they're being fed. And our partner, which is Chartwells, has been creative in thinking through ways in which we can do this safely and effectively. But we welcome your feedback, as always, on how we can get better. We also are learning a tremendous amount as we go, and we're making adjustments as we go. There were faculty, for example, that wanted to give it a go face-to-face, but then they had an early infection within their class and they decided to do a hybrid kind of format out of a public health and safety concern. So we're trying to be nimble, we're trying to learn, be open to the feedback that we're getting, because we do want this to be as robust a Stetson education as possible. I will say this too, in my visits to the tent, I always make an effort to go out there to say hello and just welcome them. And I would say at least a dozen students have said to me, as if it was my decision, thank you for letting us come back to campus. and I said, well, I want you to know that was a collective decision, but thank you for the sentiment. And I thank you for, and they were all masked, of course, in sharing this. I thank you for being so compliant with what we're trying to accomplish here, because the more compliant we are, the faster we can get back to what we want to get back to. So I hope that's an adequate answer to the question.
That's great. So we also had a question about how our faculty, how you're finding working with our faculty members, and how have they adjusted teaching online to still be able to build those connections with students? What have you seen there, if you can briefly answer that question?
Sure. I've so enjoyed, by the way, I'm a member of the faculty also at Stetson. I'm a member of the faculty in education and American studies. I think that's been helpful to have that background and be one of them, right? And to try to understand from them what they were anxious. I don't mean to generalize here, but they were anxious. This is an unprecedented context, and they were. And again, at the time we were ready to give this a go, Florida was, with the infection rates were hovering over 12%. Thankfully, in Volusia County they were lower, but it was pretty nerve-wracking, frankly. I think what really turned the tide for the faculty was the word agency. When we gave them the opportunity to really unleash their own creativity to how they could deliver their instruction, that was a real, I think, pivotal moment for us in the COVID-19 planning, because they felt, I think, heard, and they also felt like, wow, I can do this, right? I can do this if you give me the opportunity to think outside the box to make it happen. So I thought that was kind of pivotal, and I think I heard from many faculty how much they appreciated having that agency to try to make a good Stetson education move forward. So the relationship, I think, is growing. They're still checking me out. I'm still checking them out. But that's all natural in a presidential transition. But I certainly admire their tenacity, again, their scrappiness, their thoughtfulness, the creativity to meet the demands of this really, really challenging context.
I have a lot of really good faculty friends, and I'm hearing amazing things. So it's really good. Okay, our friend Cynthia Henderson actually mentioned, talking about COVID, that she went to the law campus to share the campus with some family, and it was locked down. So for those of you who've been visiting, we appreciate your patience with all of our procedures and all of that. Our next question that we have here is, we are very happy to have you join the Stetson family, President Roelke. How would you ensure that we have a thriving international community at Stetson?
Great. That's really a great question. And needless to say, this pandemic has made that exceptionally difficult, right? For all sorts of different reasons, right? Including safety of travel, et cetera. When I interviewed through the very intensive process, I did describe to the search committee the need for Stetson moving forward to increase or broaden its geographic footprint. We still draw primarily from Florida, state of Florida, which is nothing wrong with that. About 7 out of 10 students come from the state of Florida. But given the demographic shifts in the United States and globally, it's really essential that we also do some smart and judicious recruiting internationally. We've had some success in that, particularly in Africa and also in Saudi Arabia. And in a program in cybersecurity, et cetera, but we need to broaden that footprint as well. So we're working diligently with our enrollment and marketing team to think through ways in which we can broaden that geographic footprint, both domestically and internationally, because I think that's important for Stetson's future.
Awesome, thank you. Here's another one. This one's a little loaded question here. We know you're an athlete. What sports are you looking forward most to watching Hatters play?
I played collegiate basketball and baseball, and up until 2 years ago, continued to play baseball, hardball, in a wood bat league for old people like me. And then my vision started to go. So anyway, I'm looking for physical activity in DeLand. Haven't found it yet. It's not been possible to do that. So much other than individual workouts. Long story short, I want to watch them all. One of the attractions to me for Stetson was that it was a Division I athletics environment. It's very exciting. I will say this too, in my conversations with the city manager and with the mayor, they love Stetson athletics, and it's an important builder between the community and the DeLand campus. So I really want to watch them all. I never have been to a beach volleyball match in my entire life. Stetson has that. We don't have that in New York. So I'm very much looking forward to that. What I enjoy about the athletics environment is not just the competition and welcoming our competitors from other institutions, but also I love observing the growth opportunities that happen via athletics, the education that happens via athletics. So I want to watch them all. I did confess, though, that basketball and baseball are the sports that I played in college. So you might find me going to those a little bit more often than the others, but I'm going to try to make an effort to go to all of them.
Awesome. Maybe we'll see you on the intramural court too.
That's true. Yes, yes. Hey, let me say that if I do play intramurals, you must stay 10 feet away from the president at all times on the basketball court. It's a rule. It's a rule because you don't want him getting hurt. 10 feet away.
I hear you. That sounds good to me. Okay, our next question. What are innovative approaches Stetson is going to take in tackling diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus? If you can speak a little bit to that.
Sure. Absolutely essential that we have the kinds of robust conversations that I referred to earlier. Please do not interpret this answer as being slow or not having ideas about this. I certainly do. Vassar, where I'm coming from, last 21 years of my career, underwent its most dramatic demographic shift in its institution's history while I served as dean. That was intentional, more robust commitments to financial aid, more robust commitments to finding first-generation students of color for whom an education had not been possible in their families before, quite intentional. And that also happened at the time of the Great Recession. So we had fewer resources to meet the needs of this new community that we were welcoming to our campus. That was not easy. I certainly learned a lot about leadership during that time. So please don't take this as punting on the question. I really believe so strongly that the listening that a new president needs to do is essential before establishing the 5 or 6 innovations that we think make the most sense for this community. I'm in my 89th day, so I realize that the need to come up with the important platform for how we're going to move our community forward is upon us. I think that the Campus Climate Survey is a great vehicle for understanding where we might need to make investments moving forward. We certainly need to not only bring a more diverse student body here, but we need, most importantly, to retain them. Right?
Yes.
So we have a very, very important challenge ahead of us to make sure that that lived experience for this increasingly diverse student body is a robust one, it's a kind one, it's a one where there's a sense of belonging. So we have some challenges ahead of us, make no mistake about it, but we're not alone in this. I don't think I know of a single institution of higher education that is doing this exceptionally well. We had our own challenges at Vassar. We think we learned from them and we're moving ourselves forward. But initially, the importance is to have the lived experience be as robust, safe, and comforting as it possibly can be.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have a quick question. We have about 4 minutes left. We have a quick question about the School of Music and what emphasis will be given to those faculty and students in this time of a pandemic. How is that playing out?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And by the way, I did have the joy of being able to observe the School of Music in action in both Washington and New York City. And I have to tell you, they're world class, world class. I was blown away, not only with their musical ability, but I also rode the bus with them from Washington. I forget where we were going, but I was on the bus with them.
After the New York area.
I forget where, I think Washington to Baltimore, I think is what
It was, yes.
Yeah. And I was just so blown away with the sensitivity, the thoughtfulness, the camaraderie. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. The School of Music, if I may be so bold, is sort of I think a hidden gem of Stetson University. And I think that there's tremendous excellence that comes out of the School of Music. And I'm surprised that I didn't know more about it as a higher education faculty member and executive, that I didn't know more about it. And so I think one of our challenges is to make it better known that this is in fact a gem in the state of Florida. The musicianship is phenomenal. I came back to visit campus and 3 faculty members gave a piano recital. World class, absolutely world class. So I hope that's an adequate answer on the School of Music. But in the context of COVID-19, needless to say, music is hard, right? So, they've been dividing up the choir, dividing up the ensembles so that they can do it safely. There's a lot of spitting that happens in music. So the close proximity to one another doesn't fly. And so we're thinking outside the box for how we're going to do the Christmas services and so on. And we'll do it. And we're going to do the best with what we've got. But please understand that it's been challenging from a curricular perspective to deliver what we want to deliver in the School of Music.
Absolutely. Okay, we have time for one last question, and that is, President Roelke, how has being the president of a university with a law school been different than your previous experience at Vassar? Has it been difficult balancing the demands of the pandemic and the ABA requirements?
Great question, generous question. And one of the things that also appealed to me about Stetson during the search process was that it was a university. And we did have a School of Music, that we did have a School of Business, that we did have a School of Law, in addition to our College of Arts and Sciences. That was exciting to me. I think my experiences at Vassar, which is strictly undergraduate, 2,400 students, small, liberal art, highly competitive liberal arts college. I think many of the lessons there, however, do transfer to this other context. With regard to the law school, I was fortunate enough to spend a year as a visiting scholar at Yale Law School, studying school finance litigation. So I did have some professional experience that familiarized myself with the rigors of a law school education and legal education. Some of my own scholarship is actually on on education law. So it's a terrain that I feel comfortable in. I'm delighted that Stetson University has a world-class conference on higher education law. It's well known around the globe for its quality. So it's been a terrain that I've been comfortable working with. I'm also delighted to have such a wonderful dean in Michelle Alexandre, who has welcomed me into that fray. So I think it has been challenging because of the COVID-19 environment. To the bar exam, I perhaps some lawyers on the call, and perhaps some parents of law students on the call. Michelle has collaborated with a number of other law school deans to try to promote advocacy for both employment and bar passage for our Stetson students, because this has been tricky terrain and a lot of anxiety has been produced. So thank you for the question. I'm delighted that we have a law school, and I look forward to visiting the law school next month.
Excellent. So Dr. Roelke, could you just round us out tonight by one last question? What do you like to do for fun?
Great. So back to music. I have zero musical talent, but I come from a very talented family musically. And I love music, particularly blues music. So that's a passion of mine. I also like to do anything that is, in fact, sports related, exercise related. I love to a pickup game of basketball. I love the years that I played competitive baseball. Love to play softball with my kids. If you were at our house in New York, you would see us outside a lot, either throwing a ball around. What's that game called? Smash ball or whatever it's called?
I don't know.
There's a little net in the middle. Anyway, it's one of these new lawn games. You would see us outside a lot, either throwing the ball around, throwing the Frisbee around, et cetera. So that's what I like to do for fun. I also have had a lot of fun during this pandemic decorating the president's house because my wife isn't here. So I have been buying some pieces of art, a little sculpture here or there, a carpet here and there. By the way, most of it on my dime. Just want to let the alum know that I'm not spending Stetson's money to furnish the house, but I have really enjoyed that because it's a different part of my brain that I get to use when I'm not at work.
All right, thank you. Dr. Roelke, this has been delightful this evening. I thank you. I thank our Hatter Nation for joining us. And we hope to see you all very soon in person. Be well, be safe.
Spike ball, it's called spike ball.
Spike ball.
Somebody was nice enough to put it in the chat. That's what it's called, spike ball.
Awesome.
4 players at a time. Awesome. Thank you, alumni. Thank you very, very much. I look forward to meeting you in person. And please do continue to stay engaged with Stetson. Again, to repeat it, we need you more now than ever. So thank you.
Bye.